Howdy. Before I go over some of the background of equitable remedies and some of the examples of how they can be used in court and some of the different court cases that involve equitable remedies, I think it is important to first describe legal and equitable remedies. Now, firstly, legal remedies allow the non-breaching party to recover monetary damages, whilst equitable remedies allow for the non-monetary solutions to resolve the disputed issues. So if we break this down just a little further, we can understand the two terms. We could see that legal remedies allow for the monetary compensation, while equitable remedies reply for solutions that monetary amounts cannot uphold. And so now that we understand the difference between equitable and legal remedies, we can kind of go into the history of equitable remedies. So firstly, equitable remedies started off within the Court of England in the 15th century. So there were two separate courts. You had the Court of Law and the Court of Equity. Fast forwarding to America and how it was used within our legal system, we had chancery courts. So chancery courts only dealt with equitable relief, while the courts of common law existed, but the courts of common law ended up just practicing equity relief as well. So today, we tend to use courts of common law, but it's not illegal or banned to have a chancery court. You can actually still have them within the United States. It's just they are incredibly rare to find now. So now that we know the history of equitable remedies and we know the difference between legal and equitable remedies, we can now talk about some of the examples of equitable remedies. So just restating what we talked about earlier, equitable remedies are granted when legal remedies or monetary compensation is not enough to make up for what happened. So some of the different equitable remedies are specific performance. So this is a court ordering the party to completely perform their part of the bargain. So it's making the party that broke the contract make up for the contract that they ended up breaking by just finishing whatever they were working on, finishing the project. If it's a concert, finishing the concert, things along those lines. We also have contract rescission. This happens when an old contract was breached or canceled, so a new one with more specific guidelines is written. So say your contract is say one of you breaches your contract. So you guys decide to just rip it up or create a new one with more specific guidelines because neither of you really understood exactly what was asked for within the contract. So then we also have contract reformation. This is a little different than the other one because this is continuing to keep the same contract, but revising what was written within the contract. So instead of just ripping it all up, you are just adding in more specifications and making it a little more clear on what y'all are supposed to do. Lastly, there's an injunction where the court orders a party to stop doing a certain act. So there's a good example of this happening within one of the cases we're going to go over. So speaking of the cases we're going to go over, let's transition to ACEMA v. Turner. So in this case, George and Betty Turner wanted to put a pool in their backyard. But the Ahwatukee Custom Estates Management Association did not approve the pool that they wanted to put in their backyard because they had previous violations that they hadn't taken care of. So they just didn't even want to allow them to put the pool in their backyard. So the Turners got upset and said, you know what? I'm just going to put a pool in my backyard anyway. They were then met with an injunction by the ACEMA. They went to court where the special master concluded that the Turners must get approval from the board before making any home improvements. Now, this is where we see, the next case is where we see an injunction, that case was where we saw the injunction used. So Freeman v. Town of Cave Creek is another example of equitable remedies. So within this case, Cave Creek was trying to build a railroad on the Freeman's land. We'll get into why I put quotation marks around land. Is because Cave Creek gave them an easement by warranty deed for the existing roadway that had existed there since October 2nd, 1969. The Freeman's land was 30 acres and the land the railroad on was 35 acres. So the easement was for the 35 acres of land. So the Freemans didn't want the railroad on that land because they felt as though it was going to disrupt their enjoyment of living on their property. So what ended up happening is the court sided with Cave Creek, saying that the easement said that there could be a railroad there, so the railroad's going to be there, and under Arizona state law, that's 100% okay. So thank you so much. I hope y'all enjoyed my presentation. We went over legal and equitable remedies, along with the history of equitable remedies, example of equitable remedies, and some of the different court cases. So I hope you learned something. Have a wonderful rest of your day.